Why, hello, and welcome to another episode of the ForeBros podcast. We are so glad that you are here joining with us. We have myself, you have Brian, Matt. Andy is on vacation, and so we wish him nothing but the best. But he is out on vacation with family down at the beach, and so Andy, hope you're having fun, brother. And but we have a great episode lined up for you yet again here tonight, and so we want to talk about a few things. The first thing that we want to jump into, actually, crazy enough, is just some of the recent news and kind of give like our own personal take on it. As we and again, I'll preface this topic by saying we don't want to be a podcast that gets too ultra political, but I do believe that this is a pretty big moment in history, and it's worth talking about it. And we'll get Brian and Matt's reactions to it as well. But at the time of this recording, which is Monday night, less than 48 hours ago, there was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, the former president of the United States and Republican candidate for president for this election. And pretty scary stuff. We kind of talked before the recording started just to kind of about all the little details and now parts of the story that are coming out. And then, of course, all the conspiracy theories that are now coming out. I think any major event in U.S. history, there's always a lot of conspiracy theories with it, but pretty crazy stuff. And here's, I'll say this before I pass it to Brian. I think no matter what your political affiliation is, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever, when something like this happens, this is not a place of making jokes. It's not a place of like, I mean, that's serious stuff. I mean, you're talking millimeters away from life and death. And so, um, again, I think Democrats should have the same reaction as Republicans, and Republicans should have the same reaction as Democrats. Like this is, we almost had a this is almost a different conversation. I
Hmm.
mean, we're millimeters away from a different conversation. So
Yeah.
thankful that he is alive. There's no place for violence when it comes to political things. I think our political world has certainly gotten out of hand, especially American politics. And I think a lot of that has to do with social media. I think a lot of that has to do with what we are able to connect with via our phones and the internet, but and technology nowadays. But again, just crazy stuff. So, but again, the RNC is happening right now. So Trump is there, and I'm sure by the time you're watching this, he's already spoke and done all those things. But Brian, what's your overall thoughts on just kind of everything that happened with that?
Yeah, man. Wild night, I guess that was. I always look at these events like this, and there's not stuff like this doesn't happen all the time, but I think about like 9/11. I think about I wasn't old enough for some of the other assassinations and attempts and different things like that, but 9/11. I remember the Boston Marathon bombing and the coverage and the way that makes you feel. I always remember like where I am and what I was doing in those moments. So Saturday night, we had been in Tallahassee all day, school clothes shopping for the girls, and it was really an awesome day. Like we had a good time just as a family. We got an early start. We did lunch. We're going from store to store, just shopping, and everybody's having a good time. And then towards the end of the night, we went to dinner. We were sitting in Carrabba's, and we had eaten, and we were on the back end of the meal, and I get a phone call from um, a buddy of mine. He trains me, works with me. It's close to me, and I get a phone call from him, which it's not odd for him to call me, but it is odd for him to call me on Saturday night. So we had just
Yeah,
gotten like we were trying to eat, so I just um, tapped it off, and then I texted him and said, "Hey, man, we're finishing up at dinner. I'll call you in a few minutes. Is everything okay?" And he texts back, I'll never forget this. He said, "Trump's been shot." And immediately I just look up like around the restaurant, and I'm like, nobody in here has a clue. And I was able to talk to Adam, my trainer. I was able to talk to him some today on Monday, and um, he was actually watching it. Like he didn't find out through a news feed or through social media. He was watching it live. And
wow.
it what was weird about it is when he told me, and then you could feel. the energy in the restaurant. Like you could just feel a wave of emotion, and you could just feel the buzz kind of coming around you. And honestly, like my first reaction, and again, remember in the beginning, I had no idea. Like, are we talking about like shot dead? Or are we talking about, shot
Yeah.
critically injured? Like, I had no idea. I hadn't seen any footage or anything. And so my first reaction was, I want to get my family out of here and let's just go home. Like, I didn't want to
Mhm.
be out
Mhm.
because you
Yeah.
made a comment just a minute ago. You said, we were millimeters away from a different conversation. I'll take it a step further and say that we are millimeters away from a different way of life. Um,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Man, I was terrified on the inside. I was trying not to show it to my kids. I was trying not to show any panic, but I literally just wanted to get in the car and get home.
Mhm.
Thankfully, and I do believe by the grace
Yeah.
of God, he's not dead and he's still alive.
Yeah.
I know there was one that got killed. There were some others that got injured, and certainly, we lift those folks up and pray for them. But
Mhm.
I don't even want to entertain what would be going on right now if Donald Trump had
Yeah.
been
Mhm.
shot to death on Saturday night. That
Yeah.
scares me to death.
Yeah. I couldn't even imagine, dude. Yeah, that's a good point. Matt, did you or when did you find out, or did you? I mean, I know we
Well,
kind of sent we sent a text in a group chat, and then
yeah.
I met Brian. You were still at dinner, and you're like, yeah. At that point, word had started to spread without the
Hmm.
restaurant. And you're like, yeah, it's kind of buzzing in here now. But Matt, were
Hmm.
you out and about too, or
No, we were actually at home. We had gotten let's see, that happened on what night?
Saturday
That
night?
was
Saturday
that was
night.
Saturday night. That's right. That's right. We were just laying low Saturday. Lexi Joe came in from kids camp on Friday evening, Friday afternoon, Friday evening. So we just wanted to lay low Saturday. Um, and I mean, of course, I didn't watch it live. I'm kind of thankful I did because I think I'd probably be a little bit more stirred than I am now. I'm kind of like Brian, like I think about those things and I think, man, what would it have looked like now?
Mm,
And it does worry you, I mean, when I started seeing it on social media, um, and as I started watching it, I was like, is this, the crazy thing about what the world we live in now, the first thing you think of is this real, right? Especially when you see it
That's
on
right.
social media because there's just so much garbage out there and so many people are looking for clickbait and all this stuff. And so like I just start seeing something like that and I'm thinking, is this real? And I start looking and it didn't take very long at all and it was plastered everywhere. And I started
Hmm.
watching it and of course, all these thoughts do flood your mind as, as number one, as an American, you think about, number one, it should have never happened. These things should never happen. But number two,
Yeah.
immediately I also was crazy with what Brian said. Is I also too started thinking about my kids and what difference that was. Number one, what could that have made for their future? Not just
Mhm.
long down the road, but immediate future.
Yeah.
What does it look like in the life of our churches and Christians and what's it going
Yeah.
to turn into from a political standpoint? I mean, because even after it's done, I mean, you can just try to pull it up now and you're going to see one side. I mean, it's like it didn't do anything. Like it should have united sides, but you're still seeing some whack jobs out there who's like, oh, well, he shouldn't have missed. And then you're seeing, it's like, how can you as a human being possibly think that? Like, how low could you be in life?
yeah.
Possibly think like, oh, well, the guy shouldn't have missed. Like, how terrible is that? And so that
Oh,
breaks
Yeah.
your heart, and I, as a pastor, like, man, my heart breaks thinking about just the condition of our world, and our people are
mhm.
looking at it and we're trying to lead them while at the same time we're also trying to figure this stuff out our own selves too. So it's a crazy ordeal, man. I would love to say that
So
I can't
here's
believe that we got to this point.
Yeah.
Matt. I mean, you just said something that I don't know. It just kind of resonated with me there for a minute, but Like, what is the fix? We're us three are pastors. Andy's usually with us.
Hmm.
He's a Christian, godly man.
Yeah.
We stand in pulpits week after week after week, and we urge people to follow Christ, to be obedient to God's word. But I say this
Hmm.
in realizing that there are a lot of people, even in our community, that don't believe that way.
Yeah.
What do you say? And we don't know anything about this shooter. We know very
Hmm.
little about him at this particular point.
Yeah.
What would be a universal message for all? Like, how can we get away from these crazy things that continue to happen time and time and time again in our society? I think it's easy for us to say, well, turn to Christ, give your life to Christ. I
Sure.
believe that
Sure.
message. He'll change your life. He changed my life, Lord knows.
Yeah.
But
For sure.
what do you say to somebody that doesn't believe that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's just so many extreme ideas out there
For sure.
that it's hard to it's hard to overcome the hatred and the
Hmm.
division and the
Yeah.
selfishness that has just infiltrated our nation, man.
Hmm.
We are a nation that is built on being there for each other, on working hard, supporting one another.
Hmm.
And you can go back and we can talk about the roots and all the bad things that have happened, but this nation, what we have become, is the greatest
Hmm.
nation on the face of the planet. And it
Yeah.
amazes me how you can be miserable,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying, things happen to people, fall on hard times, go through difficult times, all those things happen in
Hmm.
life. Man, I'm telling you, man, it's hard to find the words to, how do we fix it? How do we fix it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's tough. I've always been an advocate for saying that since social media became more and more of a popular thing, I think it's been more harmful than good.
Hmm.
People having access to because all it's built is nothing but keyboard warriors. People can now share their opinion very freely and openly on the internet with little to no repercussions of it.
Well, now,
And
and
that's
it's
only gotten
praised.
worse. Yeah,
It's
and
Yeah.
and
praised.
and
It's
it's only
praised
gotten
now.
worse over the last decade or over the last 15 years. So so now everything, all access to life is at the click of a button, and,
Hmm.
and you see how quickly stuff like that spread. And um so that to me that's always been a thing, right? And then um of course you're talking about Donald Trump, when he first came on the political scene in 2015, 2016, whatever it was. um he drew a lot of hate because, the way I always was, he called it like it was. He said it, and he still does. He calls it like it is. Now he's gotten more of a political filter. It always started with the tweets, and whether you thought they were mean or whether you thought they were funny or whatever, he just called it like it was. And that wasn't, at the time, it wasn't your typical politician, right? And I think Donald Trump Jr. said it best. He said, if years of experience is what we're measuring whether a politician's good or bad, he goes, that's a terrible way to measure. He goes, because that has been shown that doesn't work
It
for
doesn't.
decades now, that
Yeah.
years of experience tells us nothing.
Yeah.
And so you got a guy here who comes in, he's unfiltered, and he says it like it is, which I think for the majority of the country, I think that's something that people wanted. You wanted someone who was against the grain. You wanted someone who wasn't a political figure. I mean, I think that's why Ronald Reagan was such a good president, because he wasn't this political figure. He was someone different. And um but again, I mean, with social media, with the internet, everyone's going to have an opinion. Everyone's going to want to be sharing their thoughts and stuff. And but to answer that question of like how do you fix it, I think because of those contributing factors, we are such in a divided rut. Like I don't know, because like Matt said, there's still people who are like not happy in a sense of like somehow this is Donald Trump's fault. that he
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
shot, and like it makes you scratch your head. Like, well, I mean, what is happening? So I mean, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
I've
I mean,
had
the
some
easy answer is
people.
like you said, is turn to Christ. But I mean,
Well, yeah. I mean, and for those that that are willing to do that, that's the best advice you can ever give anybody. But it, I don't know, man. It's a difficult subject. It's a difficult topic.
Yeah.
I've but this is the other side of it.
mhm,
Donald Trump getting elected in November doesn't fix it.
No, it
You
doesn't.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and
yeah,
that's where I think people on Republicans and Democrats alike, you're falling into the traps of a political candidate can change what's going on in this nation. Man, if this nation is going to change, it's going to be people like us three right here.
mhm,
Hmm.
It's going to be
That's right.
fathers and community leaders and people that care about the nation that you live in, that care about the community and the
Hmm.
neighborhood that you live in, and you want your schools to be good, you want there to be jobs and opportunity, you want to take care of people that cannot provide, not people that will not provide
Hmm.
for themselves, but people that cannot. it,
Yeah.
Donald Trump ain't going to fix that. Joe Biden ain't going
No.
to fix that. There's not a political figure on the face of the planet that'll fix it. And man, it's just like sometimes I bang my head against the wall, just like, can we just wake up and be human for a minute? Quit looking
Hmm.
at societal status. Quit looking at skin color. Quit looking at all these things and look each other in the eye and say, man, we are people. This
yeah,
is
Hmm.
where we are. This is where we live. And Lord knows I'd rather be here than anywhere else on this planet.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Let's do better. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, no,
When and I
absolutely. I was gonna. Oh, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think like for me, Brian, when you asked that question, I mean, my immediate response and what I see and where I'm burdened at is the lack of Christians living out their true biblical convictions in an everyday
Mm,
life.
yeah, that's good.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, some of the things that we have to
Yep.
battle is, you look at it and, people used to always talk about how there should be a separation of church and state, but the very same people who are saying those things are the very same people who have allowed culture and state to dictate everything that we do inside the church. And
That's
the,
right.
the natural disposition years ago used to be you were going to be in church, and that the church house was the place that helped dictate and govern what took place in the community around it. Now the church
That's
is the
right.
farthest thing that people are looking for. We
That's
have
right.
bowed our knee to so many other things, and when the world looks at us and we're supposed to be showing the love of Christ is the only way that's going to change a lot of things in this country. But the world can't see the
Yep.
love of Christ if Christians aren't living out the love of Christ. And a lot of the people that
That's
you're
right.
going to hear in this negative rut, Brandon, than what you're talking about, unfortunately and sadly, are going to be a lot of people who also claim to be Christians. I mean,
Yep.
Mm,
like there's so much there that, as pastors like that
You've
that
heard it,
break
man.
us
And
because
I'm not trying to cut you off, Matt, but
no, sure.
like it doesn't matter which news outlet. The last 48 hours, man, you got all of a sudden all these people, they won't breathe the name of Jesus. They will not say
Yeah.
the word God. But every single one of these people now are coming out, oh, the
Mhm.
hand of God was on Donald Trump, and this is a
Yeah.
divine work of God. I'm like, where's
Why?
this
Because
been?
it's a
Like you
fad.
people,
That's it's
you
it.
people have
It's a
you
fad.
you have millions of eyes and ears on you every single day, and you won't breathe these names until somebody
Yes.
almost gets
Yes.
assassinated.
That's it.
yeah,
That's
Like,
it.
dude,
It's a
come
cultural
on.
fad, dude. They're somebody started it and they just start clicking repost, 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 and that's not doing anything, because if you go just
No,
a little bit further than the repost, you're going to see the same garbage that's still out there. I mean, we
yeah,
have got to change. This is what I'm constantly talking about it, because man, my heart breaks for people. Is Jesus said that the
yeah,
world's going to know us by the love we have for one another.
that's right.
So when we paint the
yeah,
picture
Mm,
of Christ everywhere that we go, what picture are we showing of him? We are the
mhm,
image
yep,
bearers of Christ ourselves. And what's happening is that you're not seeing a very good image of Jesus. And now we've kind of gotten into this idea that, oh, well, Jesus is everything that is totally unbiblical in our day and time today. A lot of the
mm,
images that we're
yeah,
showing of him.
yeah. Well, real quick before we move to the next thing, I want to ask you a question because all of this kind of made me think of it. So, and I'll start by sharing a story real quick because it relates to it. Because all three of us are pastors in the position that we are in, and because of recent events like with this whole Donald Trump thing, and you go 10, 15 years ago, there was no such thing as security in churches, right?
Mhm.
And now there is, and we had a security guy that he like was a professional in church security, whatever that means. And he came to do like a seminar at our church, and it was like all of our deacons and security team there. And I remember sitting there and listening, and he's going through like strategic plans of, how to sit in strategic areas, how to have someone always patrolling the inside, having an eye on all the doors, and we have cameras on every outside door and all this stuff. And then we got to the part of talking about an active shooter inside the sanctuary. And I'm sitting there as the pastor of the church, and he's talking about how no matter, and like he walked us into our sanctuary and he made me stand up behind the pulpit because he was like, when someone comes in to shoot up a church, from statistics and recent church shootings, the number one target is the pastor.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
who they go after first, because the pastor is the glue that holds everybody together there. He's the leader. He is the, in quotes, president of that group. Like
That's
he's
right.
in control. Um, and so, and people are smart enough nowadays to know, like, if you take out the leader, it's really hard for the people to move forward now. And like
Mhm.
the pastor's supposed to be there to help put the pieces together. Well, so he's sitting there talking, we're going over this strategic plan and stuff. And he's got me standing up there, and he's like, all right, I need two of you. The moment someone breaks through the door, you are to grab Brandon, shelter him, cover him up, and take him somewhere. And I just remember like sitting there and going, this is insane. The fact that I'm even having to play a part in this, the fact that we're even having to do this. And so, my question is to you two, being that all three of us are pastors, do events like what happened Saturday night, and knowing that, for years and decades, it's been separation of church and state, but there seems to now a shift has turned to where there is a target on churches and Bible believing Christians, and that may be a contributing factor, Matt, as to why people aren't living out their faith. Because, like, I don't want to get shunned by community, but again, that's a bad on their part because you don't want one hand in eternity and the other hand in the world. So
That's
that's
right.
another conversation. But
Yeah.
as pastors, does it concern you or put you more on edge to know that things like what we saw 2 nights ago is and violence towards churches is going to become probably more prominent? And I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Mhm.
You or me?
Don't matter.
You
You
want
go
it,
ahead
Maddie?
first. No, you can take it
um,
first.
no, it definitely it affects you. I mean,
Yeah.
you know one one thing that I have to remind myself all the time, and see, and that's what's crazy about Trump's situation, right? I mean, he was at a rally. This was his people, right?
Yeah.
And you
Mhm.
have one individual that was able to infiltrate and gain access. So I
Mhm.
think about our church. You know, I love our people. I know most of them personally, but on any given Sunday morning, there are visitors that walk in. We don't know who they
Mhm.
are.
Mhm.
We don't know what their belief systems are. We don't know what their background is. We don't know what they're going through.
Mhm.
Um, Man, there have been a couple of moments. There have been a couple of moments, and I've been preaching now for, uh, I guess, right at 4 years in this stint. I did some interim work for about a year before that, so I've preached about 5 years total. Outside of that,
Mhm.
just doing other work within the church. But there have been a couple of times where I've been approached before a service, and it's just kind of like, hey, we don't know who these people are. They're asking some kind of weird questions. Um,
Mhm.
we just want you to know that we're watching, and we have a security team. We have a security team. They are sitting in strategic place. We do have some people in our church that are carrying, and we I don't I don't think we necessarily have a written out plan like what you said. Like I don't know what would happen. Like I don't think there's anybody that's rushing to cover me up, necessarily. But I think our protocol is if you see somebody draw a weapon or come at somebody, then those that are armed are gonna act. Um, but I did have another situation. This was like on a Sunday afternoon, I believe, because I was supposed to go be ready for a deacons meeting, but it was like earlier. I had gotten there early to do some work prior to it, and this lady shows up, and she's like obviously something was going on. I don't know if she was on drugs, if intoxicated, or what the case was, but come to find out, she sat in my office for almost 2 hours, and she was armed, and I didn't even know it.
Mm.
And it was just me and her.
Wow.
Um, come to find out, she had been causing a ruckus like downtown Cairo that day, doing some crazy stuff. I don't know if she was protesting or what was going on, but anyway, somehow she ended up out by our church in I won't say a stolen vehicle, but an aggressively borrowed vehicle from a family member. um, so it was she parked the vehicle
Oh.
like outside her building, then ended up when I finally got her out of my office, she ended up walking away and leaving the car there. And I'm like, what is happening here? So we ended up having to call the police, and they come out. They end up tracking her down the road, and that's when they come back and say, she was armed. And I was like, I had no idea. So I'm sitting in the office with this lady. It's just me and her. I don't have a weapon in there. I'm sitting across the desk
Yeah.
from this lady. She's got this bag. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who she is, what she's been through. And I'm a sitting duck, dude. So you look at stuff like that. And as a pastor, I think inherently, when we're standing in that pulpit week after week and we're preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ and the convictions of God's word to the people, man, that hits people in a lot of different ways. And
Mm-hmm.
y'all know just as well as I do, sometimes people, even though we're doing the work that we're called to do, and we're just faithfully preaching the word of God as best we can, man, it steps on your toes. That's what it
Yeah.
does, and it can trigger people. So yeah, I think about it. I try not to let it dominate me because, again, at the end of the day, I mean, what are you going to do? Not preach because you're afraid of that? Like, I mean, that's anti what the Bible teaches. We've got to stand there courageously and bravely every single week and preach.
That's right.
If
Yep.
that's how I go down, I don't. I'm not trying to get up out of here, but there are worse ways to go than standing and preaching God's word.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's to pretend like it's not a thing. It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, I mean, it is definitely something that you do think about. I kind of share a quick story myself. A guy that Aaron and I went to school with was pastoring a church down in Florida, down around Sarasota, and he was at the church. I'll have to remember the story. I can't kind of quote it verbatim, but he was at the church. I think he was maybe kind of like what you're talking about, Brian. He was kind of helping, talk with a lady that was there at the church, and this guy came up onto the campus and shot him 3 times, just boom, boom, boom,
Mm.
Mm.
right then and there. He died from it, and you think about that. I think about, personally, where our church is located. Our church is located right there, in town, in Cairo, and it's nothing for us to have 1, 2, 3 people come walking up almost weekly looking for help, homeless. They're coming
Mm-hmm.
to the office complex, and it's just me and the secretary most of the days. And so luckily she's kind of behind a locked door that you'd have to, you just can't get into. Brandon, you've tried to push some of our doors. Our doors are very heavy, but
They
the
are,
glass that she's
even when they're
behind,
unlocked.
we try to give you a workout. But even the
Yeah.
glass that she's behind, I mean, it's not like a bulletproof glass. It's more like plexiglass.
Mm.
And there have been moments where, I do carry. I do have my concealed permit, and there are moments where we feel like we are better secure that I have to go out to my truck and grab it, because you just never know. And that's the part that worries me, and I use worry. I use it kind of tongue in cheek, because you'll have Christians say, "Well, you're not supposed to worry." Well, yeah, but we still do. Um, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
you do think about those things, because not only do we have them come in and they're looking for help, you never know. If you've been around church any length of time and you've watched this, and you guys have probably seen it, you don't know how they're going to respond based off of what you tell them, if you can help them or even can't help them. So
That's
you're
right.
always on edge with that. And that's just during the week. On Sundays, it's nothing for us to come, because I get to church early on Sunday mornings just to kind of, get away from everything, get alone by myself, and really just start praying and kind of preparing for the morning. And I've pulled up to the church several times, and there'd be a homeless person out there asleep right at our door. And once he kind of sees a light on, he just starts going around doors, just yanking on them, banging on them, trying to get in. Um,
Mm.
it scared our ladies before, that show up early on Sunday mornings, and then they'll come in on a Sunday during worship service. We do have a security team as well. I have thought in all of this over the past couple of days. I've really thought more about, making sure that they are better equipped where they are, and what they do, and things like that. But you just see it. I mean, you just Google. Like, I took just a second and Googled. I mean, there's shootings that's been taking place like within the past month or two, where I saw one just a second ago where a pastor got shot in the mouth. It's like,
Yeah.
and some of them are by teenagers.
Yeah.
It's happening. But I mean, listen, you look at the Bible, and the things that we're headed towards are worse, man. It's gonna come a
Oh, yeah.
day. I tell our people often, there's gonna come a day where I truly believe that Christians will have to give an account here on this earth before we ever step before the Lord. Do you believe in
Mm.
Jesus Christ? You think about the Columbine.
Yep.
You remember the Columbine shooting?
Yeah.
They pointed a gun right at the girl's face and said, "Do you believe in Jesus?" She said, "Yep," and
That's
she was
right.
gone. I think there's
Yeah.
Yep.
coming a day where Christians are going to have to, and that goes back, Brandon, now to what we were saying earlier about people living out their faith. Um, you know, you kind of live off that old saying, I'm ready to go to glory, but I'm not taking the first train out of here. I'm
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. I don't want it to be right now, of course, but
Yeah.
um, God is in complete control. He is, when we say he's sovereign, that means he's sovereign over everything. He's in control of everything.
Mm.
He
Yep.
knows our
Yeah.
start date, and he holds the pencil to our stories. And you know, it does make you think a lot, though, for sure, as all these things kind of
Yeah.
play out, and where we're headed. I
Mm.
think as a country.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. So I think for us as pastors, the importance of just continuing to be bold in our faith, continue to preach the gospel, stand firm, not water it down, not sugarcoat it, but preach from the Word of God and the Word of God only is going to only be more and more important as we continue to do what we do, and try not to focus on the things that we can't control, but focus on things that we can control. So,
Mm.
but yeah, so a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I know we spent a lot of time on that, but yeah, so it's just going on. Let us know your thoughts. Tell us what you think about all this stuff and what's going on, and maybe kind of answer Brian's question of, what is our next steps as a country? What can we do? So, but for us as the ForeBros group, kind of getting into a better light here in our transition, but we are golfing this week, gentlemen. So
Yes.
looking forward to that. We are not golfing anywhere local, though. We are going down to St. James Bay. And this is a trip that I missed last year. And so I'm looking forward to going on this trip this year. The guys have thoroughly expressed how difficult this course is. In fact, they
Hmm.
played Wolf the last time they went down there. And I think the Wolf won, not any individual person, but I think the course kicked their butt.
I won.
So it's hard to take a victory when the winner shot a 130. So, anyways, that's nor
Hey,
here nor
it,
there.
it was a 128. Okay, 128.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I don't know if I said this on camera or I'm pretty sure it was off camera. But I did make a bet that I've never seen the course, never played it. But if we played my own ball, I would shoot 85 or better. they all laughed and thought that that was the most ridiculous thing that they've ever heard.
The
So comment
most.
below if you think I'll shoot 85 or below. They have all the doubt in the world, and they have no hope for me. And so that's okay. I love proving people wrong, but they think I'm going to prove them right. So we'll see. So St. James Bay, difficult course, and it's gonna be fun. We're gonna meet down there with Andy and play there. So I guess with me not knowing so much about the course, and we'll kind of give you guys a two-parter. We'll start with Matt and then go to Brian. But what's your thoughts about going into St. James Bay? And then I guess another question is, and this is a question that we had from one of our listeners, what is the weakest part of your game that you
Oh,
hope
that's easy.
doesn't rear its head at St. James Bay?
It's not a I hope. I just know that it is. My hope is that it doesn't do it as much. That's my hope.
Okay.
St. James Bay, we played it last year. Of course, it's down at the water, so it's very windy. It was super hot that day too, so it was kind of a really dry air, which kind of sometimes can affect ball flight. A lot of times it doesn't matter if you can't hit it straight. The thing with that course, however, is that, and Brian will tell you, you have to know where you're hitting and you have to hit it exactly to that spot. If it tells you 150, hit it 150 and know it. The problem though, like I have this tendency where if I go and play a course, like I don't necessarily like to look at a scorecard. I just like to play the course as it comes to me. I'll never make that mistake again. From here on out, I do my homework on golf courses because of that one. It swallowed a lot of golf balls that I took down there. I pretty much just donated those for free as we played. But it was a tough course. It's
Yep.
a shot shaped style course. You've got to be able to put shots in. I say shot shape. You've got to be able to be a straight shooter when you're there. You got to be able to hit the ball straight
Mm-hmm.
and know your distance as
Yeah.
well. As far as weakness for
Yeah.
me, I mean, this is no question about it. Is the chipping and putting for me? I'm probably the worst in our group right now of putting and chipping, and so I just hope that I know it's going to happen. I mean, it's not like I wish I could say, oh yeah, I hope it don't come up. It's going to come up, of course, because you have to putt on every hole. Unfortunately, unless y'all
Yeah.
give me a bunch of gimmies, and I know that's not going to happen. So that's
Well, I
that's
remember
my 2
too,
cent on it.
Matt, down there around those greens. A lot of the courses we play. I mean, if you play golf and you listen to golf or watch golf, I mean, you hear players talk about grain. There's not
Yeah,
there's not a ton of places we go where grain is that big of a player, like on the
yeah,
chipping and putting. It is
yeah,
down there. Like I think because see, like chipping and putting is kind of what keeps me in the mix. And I found out last year, even after hitting the ball all over that course, I am well versed in St. James Bay. Um, I found myself even in the short game, like it was not helping me or
yeah.
saving me at all. It really is a
And
course,
if I
like Matt said,
remember,
you cannot go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's a course that you cannot grip and rip. Like this is not just,
Yeah,
pull out driver and just let it ride. Like you better be
that's right.
looking on that scorecard. You better be pulling out that rangefinder and deciding where you
Hmm.
want this to land. And I'm gonna tell you something. I had a couple of holes when we got on that backside and I finally surrendered all hope of hitting anything long off the tee. I hit some iron shots that still found their way in the hazard, and I would have sworn these shots. I
Yeah,
remember in particular, I don't remember what number it was, but I remember hazard was all the way down the right side. It wasn't water. It was just like this waste marshland type area. So
hmm,
I hit a 7-iron off the tee, and everything I have, I'm willing to put on it that it hit the center of the fairway. We go up there, and because of the slope, it had run into the hazard.
yep.
So,
Okay,
like on a
I
hole
do
like that,
remember
where
that.
you're looking, you remember that, like because I hit the
Yeah,
next one back in it. So,
yep.
but when you're looking at that hole, it's one of those things where I don't know how you're supposed to know that, but you can't hit it center. You have to hit it left of center. If you don't hit it left of
Or hit
center,
a
it's going in the
draw.
hazard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or hit
or
a
hit a
draw
draw
and
and
let it kind of
go up
trickle
the
out.
go up the hill. It was
Yeah.
very
Well, not
depressing.
only
I'm
that,
more prepared
if
this
I
time.
remember, those greens were rolling really good down there too,
Oh
if I
yeah.
remember right,
Oh yeah.
You
because
guys are
there,
getting me
Yeah.
real excited to go
of
play.
course, being down there, beach course, very sandy. Sand, of course, brings absorbs the heat in the ground, so that makes those greens a lot faster, a lot quicker. If I remember right, they were pretty quick and smooth.
They were rolling, but I mean,
So
they were true, and I don't
yeah,
mind that, man. Give
yeah.
me true greens. I don't care if they're fast,
Hmm.
slow, what, as long as they're true. We can make it happen. But
Yeah, just give me
um,
gimmies. That's all I'm needing. Just give me
I,
gimmies.
I'll be I'll be real confident if I can strike the irons well. Like if I'm ball striking well, I'll be confident. Like I chipping and putting, I'm not too concerned about. Like I'm doing pretty good there. My weakness has been my irons. Like they've helped me before. Like, but I'm
Well, and
not as consistent
one of
as I
your
want to be.
strengths has been driver off tee. I mean, you've dialed that in
Yeah,
really well, but you're not
but
going
you
to be able to
guys
hit
are saying I
driver off
can't
the
take
tee. Yeah,
driver off the
that's
tee
what
every
I'm
well,
saying.
time.
Yeah, no, you can't.
so if you give me, Brian, why am I not going to break 85? It's because you're not going to be able to just get up there and hit driver as straight
Yeah,
as you have been and get the result. You're not going
yeah,
to.
Yeah,
Like, you're going to
yeah.
have to dial
you're
back and
talking about
hit.
hitting 7 iron off a tee, and so when I hear all of that, I
That
hear,
that was
man,
on a
I
par
and
five.
Yeah.
that's crazy. Well, and so it's got me reverting back to my weakness of like if there's any part of my game that has let me down, it's been irons. It's specifically 150 yards and in 100 and just when I say like you know shots that you like you're supposed to hit the green, not hitting the green, whether it's like drawing it
Hmm.
left, pushing it right, or catching it thin or catching it a little heavy. My miss typically here recently with my irons especially is catching it heavy.
Mm.
And so it's my thing is as long as I'm striking the irons well, I think I'll have a chance, but I don't know. We'll see. It all depends on what Brandon shows up that day. We had gotten really good about uh, taking our time, getting to a course, not rushing and getting on the range, getting loose, hitting some shots. And I never was a range guy. I was always get out the truck and go. And now that we've gotten used to going to the range, I feel like it's helped me a little bit. I feel like I can find my tempo in the first like 20, 25 swings of the day, kind of get where I want to feel, and then just kind of go from there. And then it usually takes me about 2 or 3 holes to settle in and then go. But if we drive all the way down there from Cairo and we don't get on the range, I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm just saying I don't
Oh, here we
know
go. Here
what
we
what
go.
holds. I don't know what holds for that.
We'll
So
warm
I'd
up.
asked when okay, all right, good. So if we warm up and I still shoot a 130 and lose all the golf balls, then it is what it is. So be it. So if
Man, I
if we're
don't want to
playing
go
our
back
own
to
ball,
that. Oh gosh, I don't.
if we're playing our own ball, if all of us are playing our own ball, because like and let me tell everybody that's listening, these guys, like St. James Bay has got them so scared and so worried. Like if anybody that's listening is a mid to high handicap, like the way they talk about it, like don't even step foot on the place. Like you'll never want to play golf again, according to these guys. Like just the way that they played the course. And these are good golfers. I mean, these guys, don't let them fool you. They're good
Well,
golfers. Um, so with knowing what you know now, oh, 2 questions. First off, Brandon's not getting any help, right? You guys are just gonna be quiet on every tee box and not tell me what's out there. I just figure it out
I
myself.
don't, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was
yes,
so
yes, Brian, yes.
frustrated. I was so frustrated and aggravated that entire round. Like, I don't even really remember that much of it, honestly. I know
No.
this. I will
It'll
pay a
come to you when you
lot
get there.
more attention to the shots. I just, Matt,
Hmm.
correct me if I'm wrong. First tee box. You're back there. You're staring at what feel it's not, but it feels like miles of marshland that you've got to hit it over. It's
Hmm.
this little
Yeah.
slight dog leg to the right. I don't. I mean, If you hit a straight driver, you're
And,
going straight into the
it's a
woods.
tight
You
it's a
got to
tight
fade
tee
it.
shot. Yeah.
Yes, you have to fade it.
tight.
Or if you want to try to go straight, you got a much longer carry. And if you go just a little bit right, I mean, this course goes
You're out. You're done.
fairway, the thick, like it.
Yeah.
There's no in between. There's no pine trees to knock it down
Can
and
you
go over there and play it.
Can you play any shots out of the marsh, or is it that thick where, like, if it's in there, it's gone?
You're
Nah,
done.
most of it is gone.
Unless they've mowed it down.
Most of it is
All right.
most of it's gone.
Most of it's like wasteland,
and like
just natural habitat.
Yeah, yeah, and the like you ain't even
So-
gonna walk in there to look for it type stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So
no,
I mean, I'm bringing one sleeve. I'm bringing 3 golf balls and a prayer. So
well, I mean,
Hey, that's
God
okay.
is a miracle
They sell
worker,
more
but
golf balls in the clubhouse.
Yeah, he's gonna make sure there's enough
right.
money on your card to buy more balls.
Got that right.
So
Yeah,
my next question is, if we're playing our own ball, and I'll let y'all talk about anything else after this. What do you think?
Oh,
Not
geez,
not me. I'll predict my own score. But what do you think you'll shoot your own ball? What do you think?
Jeez.
I'll be honest with you, and this is gonna sound really terrible. What a goal! I am trying to break 95 at St. James Bay.
I mean, Matt's doing math over there.
If I'm under 95, I'm talking trash all the way back to K Road.
Yes,
Really?
sir.
You'd
Let's
be that
go.
confident in a 95? Like if you shoot 95,
Bro, you
What
wasn't
is
there
that,
last
25?
time, man.
that's like
tough,
20.
dude.
No, that's 20.
23?
23 over par. Is it a par 72?
Yeah. If I'm 23,
23.
buddy, BG's gonna have a good day.
So
Because
if
I
shoot
know
an 85,
I'm factoring in
just give me Andy's belt. if I shoot an 85.
unavoidable hazard shots. Like you're gonna have it, man. If you get around that place and you don't take any drops, then I'll tip my cap to you. But I'm telling you, it's coming. That's the difference. It's not like the course is beautiful. You're going to strike the ball well. The greens are fun and all that kind of stuff. So I'm saying let's take hazard out of play. You might could shoot like a high 80s type score, but I'm telling you, you're gonna have 2 or 3 or 4 of those. Whoop, that ball's gone.
Yeah, irons and
Doesn't
putts
have to
just
be a
scare me.
bad shot. Doesn't have to be a bad shot, but if it's in the wrong place, she gone.
Yeah.
Matt, what are you thinking? You did some math over there. I saw you crunch some numbers.
Oh, I just it got so high, I just quit counting. It's just not a point. You can only carry so many numbers each time. I mean, I'm kind of like Brian. I think if you can get around and shoot in the 80s, I think you're playing really good golf that day. I think low 90s is still a good respectable score at that particular course. I tell you, it is. The thing is it's not. I wouldn't say like the course is like when you're talking slopes. Like go back to Macklemore, hole 18.
Oh, no.
Everything slopes to the left. You're not talking that, but what you're talking is even when you hit. Okay, go back to Glenn Arvin. That one tee shot I hit, phenomenal tee shot to get down there, and it's down in the hazard, right? Or go back to Macklemore when Andy hit a great tee shot, get up there, can't find the ball. Like that was the things that were really hurting us was
That's
you
frustrating.
hit these shots and you get there and the ball is nowhere where your shot landed. So you're trying now to figure in your mind when you are frustrated to let it go, hit the next shot, focus on the next shot, and it's tough, man. And that's a course that the moment it happens, you've got to bounce back fast. If you don't bounce back fast, you're going to domino quickly.
They're just going to stack up quick.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. So, well, I guess we'll just have to we'll have to provide people an update either in the next episode or on social media about how we did. Now that I've heard you guys talk a little bit more, the 85 kind of seems ambitious.
We're gonna make you go
Can it be
live up
done?
18,
Yes.
and you're gonna have to tell the people.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to explain this
Yeah.
115 on Facebook Live.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'll stand by it. I'll stand by it. I'll stand by 85 or better. My golf game's been in a good place. I haven't
Yeah.
played in 2 weeks, but we'll see.
Have
We'll
you heard
see.
about my eagle? Have you heard about my eagle on the par 4 at Country Oaks?
I did not. On text, but no one elaborated on the story. Eagle on what now?
Oh my
On
goodness.
par
On what
4.
hole?
Yeah. Go
On
ahead and tell us.
par
Go ahead and tell
one,
us,
four.
Brian.
2, 3. On number 4. The
Yeah.
big dog leg right?
Oh, the short par
Yeah.
4.
Eagle,
Yeah,
baby.
tell him
You
about
made
it.
that in 2?
Tell him
Yes,
about it, big
sir, I
dog.
did.
Oh, wait, hold on. Back up, because I did hear in the text. Let's preface with the green was under construction and there
Oh, no,
was a
they were-
temporary green in front of the hole.
Yes.
So how
Temporary
far
green.
away was the tee shot
Oh my
on this par
What was
4?
it? 223?
220.
To the hole?
Yeah.
It was
So
220,
you know,
basically.
okay. So if you remember,
Straight away.
if dead straight down in the center, straight ahead of you, that's where the temporary green
So-
was. That's it.
Oh,
Just a
so-
circle
oh my
out.
God.
No.
they
Time
completely
out.
took the
Time
color
out. Time out. 220. So the green is basically
straight.
a dirt pad.
Dead straight.
Okay. Now, Matt, vouch for me. It was not big. I mean, it was maybe what?
What you talking about the circle?
From pin to edge was maybe 15 feet, maybe 30 feet across.
10, 15 feet. Yeah, 10, 15
God,
feet.
Maybe.
you got the green.
It
of a
was
helicopter
small.
pad.
It was small, dude.
No,
So-
it's small. It is small.
So Burke said, there's no way for us to put that. He was like, so once you're in the dirt, add a stroke. Your boy off the tee.
In the
5
dirt.
iron.
Best shot
5
he's
iron,
hit, man.
220, son. Just stuck it. I was
Best
like, that's
shot
an eagle.
he hit. But here's the thing. I mean, he was like not even a foot inside the circle, though. Not even a foot.
Oh,
Don't
Barely.
listen to him.
Barely.
That jerk was barely there.
No.
That's the
Oh,
shot
man.
of his
Eagle
life.
boy. Yes, sir.
Oh, I didn't know. I knew that the green was under repair. I didn't know that they
Yeah,
had
they were
moved the
resodding it.
temporary green all the way to the middle of the fairway.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
that's
it's still.
fair-
I mean, it was 225 just straight away, but boy, whew,
yeah, that's just a
that eagle
glorified
felt
par
good.
3 is what that was.
Hey, in my defense, I did not enter an eagle into the gin handicap system because it was not a legitimate 2. So
That's right. That's right.
Well, thank you for your honest scoring, but
yeah,
okay.
Oh,
Well, yeah,
jeez.
eagle on a par 4 at Country Oaks. So congratulations.
I did it. I did it. It took a temporary green and a heck of a 5 iron.
Oh, my word. Well,
I wasn't
well,
far
to
off
wrap
of it.
up this to wrap up this episode, we want to close out with talking about something we haven't talked about yet, but it's coming up in a week from the moment of this recording. A week from tonight, we will be
We'll
there,
be sore.
and that is we will be sore, 100%. So it's going to be hurting. But Church League softball kicks off next week, Monday, July 22nd, and you are looking at the faces of the reigning champions of Church League softball, Providence Baptist
TBC.
Church in Grady County. Boy, we took the dub last year in a heated battle. Might I add, talking about last season for a second, and then we'll get into this season. I have played a lot of softball, and I think that's what you do. I think you take 2 routes or both when you are a baseball athlete coming up through school. You finish your baseball career and you do one of 2 things. You either become a great Church League softball player or you become a good golfer, or you just are mediocre at both. And I feel like that's where I fall into, is I'm just mediocre at both. But played a lot of Church Leagues. I played a lot of softball. And then since 2019, I played Church League softball here in Grady County. I won a championship before, and then got on with Providence, playing at Brian's church, and we won the whole thing. But I would say last year, out of all the seasons that I've played, that was by far the most fun that we had. Everybody just gelled real well together, the whole team. We had a good time. And that championship game that we played went into extra innings. It was a low-scoring ball game, and it was super intense, super fun. And I think what helped made it fun is the church that we're playing for, Brian's church. their members come out in droves and they keep the energy. I mean, they are loud. It is the atmosphere. And what was crazy was the atmosphere of the championship game, because our group, our fans, there was a lot of people there to watch. And then the other team that were playing, they had a lot of fans. And it was just loud. It was rambunctious. And they were hyping us up. It was just, I don't know. I love that stuff. Those are moments like as an athlete you live for. People hyping you up and the yelling and the screaming. A lot of fun. And so this year's a new year though, and I think everybody's coming for blood. So I think it's going to be a good season, and our team is looking good. We got some guys battling some injuries, but hopefully they'll be back. Matt being one of them. So we're praying for Matt as he's working on his back, his Achilles. I think we're just going to wrap him in bubble wrap before the first game and see how it goes.
Sit on a bucket.
But
That's what I'm gonna do.
okay, all right, you can do that. But so we're looking
we
forward
got
to
we
it.
got a lot
Trying
of
to go
people
back.
trying to sit on a bucket. We need some people that's actually going to get off the bucket and play.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Matt's working on his windmill arm so he can be coaching third base or first base. So
I'm sending everybody. Sending everybody.
yeah. But we're looking forward to this season. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Trying to go back to back. That'd be really, really cool. But Brian, you are the coach. You are the captain of this squad. What's your thoughts about the guys that we're bringing back? I mean, we're bringing basically our main core of guys back.
Yeah,
And what's your thoughts on the team? What's your thoughts on the season?
man,
All that
it's
stuff.
a fun time of year. We look forward to this every year here in our small town. This is it. It's one of the highlights. Um, it's interesting, Brandon. He talked a little bit about the support from the church. Man, they're awesome. I mean, we've got the last couple of Sundays I've been advertising. They're putting together fan shirts, like they're going to have their own
Yeah,
T-shirts this year,
yeah.
and done pretty well with selling a bunch of those. But man, I'm telling you, and this is year round. Like when I walk in on Sunday morning, it's not, hey brother Brian, what's God doing in your life or anything like that. It's, hey, what's what's the team looking like? Who we got?
How's the
Is
roster?
everybody coming back? How's the roster shaping up? When are y'all practicing? Y'all better get out there. Y'all know y'all got to get them old. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy, but I
Yeah.
love it. They know that I'm passionate about it. They love it. We've used it as an outreach arm to try to get folks to come and spend time and hang out with us. We've been playing with a core group for many years. Me and Andy, especially, we've been playing with some guys out there for
Mhm.
almost 20 years. And it's just a really good time. We're looking forward to it. We were able to win it last year, which, it's so crazy to me. Like in a small town, I think we live in a bubble sometimes. Like I think people have this perception like we're just out there just running roughshod over this church league. Man, I've played let's see, go back to I guess '05 would have been my first season. So this is season
Jeez.
19 for me. Okay. I don't
Golly.
think
Bro, he's in
I
his
don't think
LeBron year.
yeah.
Golly. I
Me
was
and
still in
me and
high
Bron's the
school.
same
What are you
age,
talking
man.
about?
Me and Bron's the same age. But anyway, we've only won 5 or 6 in that whole time. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
if y'all want some, come get some, but don't pretend like we just out here dominating this thing. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
we're definitely not
Um,
the Yankees of church league.
nah,
Um,
we getting
Brian,
old, man.
yeah.
Getting
What did
old.
Perry call us? What did Perry call us yesterday? He called us the last minute legends.
Yeah, the
That's
last
what
minute
we are.
legends.
We're the
Last
last
year,
minute
no
legends.
no joke, we practiced Sunday. Last year we practiced one time, the Sunday before the league started on Monday. We practiced
Yeah.
one time. We're doing a little better
Last
this
minute.
year because we're older and trying to get loose. So we're having 2 practices this year. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we're ready. It's so funny, Brian. You mentioned earlier, and I'll ask Matt what he thinks. But you mentioned like church members and stuff. I don't know if I told you this or not, but you were out of town and you asked me to fill in for you on a Sunday night or something and preach for you on a Sunday night. And I showed up, and a lot of people, because of softball and because of my girls participating in y'all's vacation Bible school and just being in the town, a lot of the church members know me and things like that over at Providence. And So I get there and I'm getting the typical, hey, how are you? What's, how's your family been? And then I had a couple of the people who are normally at the softball games. One gentleman in particular, he put his hands on my shoulders and he was like, how are you? And I was like, and I'm thinking, he's like, how are you? How's your family? I'm like, oh, we're good. Everything's good. Church is doing well. And he's like, no, 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 no. How are you feeling? How's your knee? I'm like, I
Physically,
feel fine.
are you going to be able to
And
do
he's like,
this?
yeah. And he's like, well, and like, dude, this was like months ago. He's like, well, I know the season's coming up in a few months. I just want to make sure you're healthy, you're
It's
good.
December.
And he's like,
This is
yeah,
December.
I'm like, I'm sitting there and I was like, oh, he's serious. And he was
Yeah.
like, just want to make sure your knee's good. He's like, you played third for us last year. Just make sure you're going to be our third baseman this year. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I feel good. He literally turns around to the next guy. He's like, hey, he says he feels good. I'm like, am I talking to the front office? Like, what's happening? So,
Yep.
but shout out to the
Oh,
people of Providence, man. They
Yeah.
are
man.
amazing. Love them,
They
man.
love
Can't
it.
wait to hear
They
them.
love it.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear them yelling and screaming and jabbing us. So, Matt, what's your? Are you excited? Are you ready to go?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
After you
Oh,
skipped
man.
practice on us yesterday.
Yeah. Skip
Hey,
practice,
I
man.
had meetings at the church. I could not help it.
Oh,
We were going and
Jesus.
going.
I had a deacons meeting too, man.
When'd you have practice?
Sunday at
2
2.
o'clock.
Okay. Youth
2
committee
o'clock.
meeting.
Hit from 2 to 3:30, and then I had a deacons meeting. I had a business meeting. Man, I preached twice. Had a deacons meeting and I taught Sunday school yesterday too. Boy, you better show up to practice. Don't be like
Listen,
Allen
Coach,
Iverson.
man.
Practice. You need to
We're
practice.
talking about practice, but not a game.
I practice in my house. I get in the mirror and I'm like, send them.
So, for everybody listening, Matt is convinced that he is going to be the third base coach. Are you a first base coach guy or a third base coach guy?
Just wherever I can make people just keep running. Just keep running. It don't matter if the pitcher
That'd
has
be
the ball,
third
just
base.
keep
Well.
running. Just keep going.
Is Bucket Hat Matt going to make an appearance?
Ooh, don't tempt me. Don't tempt me with a good time. We could do it.
Mhm.
We could do it. I could pull out sleeves. I could even pull out my mullet bucket hat that has like the little mullet flap. I
You
could
do
do it all.
not have a mullet hat. A mullet.
That would be. That's a costume piece.
I'll grab
That's
it right
not
now.
a-
I'm not even kidding you.
You do
It's
not
not-
have a mullet bucket hat.
You want to bet?
If you do,
What?
a week from tonight, I want
You're
to see
wearing
it
it.
flowing at third base. Here we go.
Well,
Here we
I'm
go.
sorry, Brian. I didn't mean
Here-
to go down this road on this conversation. I'm sorry.
Here we go. Here
Sorry.
comes our third
I'm
base
sorry.
coach. Here he is.
Oh, he grabbed it quick. No way.
He must have. Oh.
Oh,
What?
it's okay.
You
Okay,
thought I had
he's
like
got a
mullet
flappy
hair?
end. Yes.
Hey, I can bring
No,
that
I
Jesus
don't-
wig from the church.
Oh yeah, just put it on.
You can wear the wig and just put your hat on.
That'd be hilarious.
I'm gonna come out here like that with my headphones on. That's what I'm gonna do.
Oh my
I'm gonna sit out here like that.
Live
That's
podcast
my
from
grass
third
cut.
base.
Hey,
Yeah.
that'd be pretty cool. Interview y'all as y'all standing on third base.
Yeah,
And I
we
could
do
even
that
look.
with a.
We'll
got
bring the little
microphone.
Mister fan. That's what we'll bring.
Oh
This
my
man.
gosh! It's just as you
Oh,
get to third base,
man.
you stop and he like gets you a few spritz in the face with some water, fan you down.
Hey,
Like, oh, thanks.
that man, you put a little ice in there. That might not be a
I'm
bad
telling
idea.
you, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
Just
legging
All right,
out
well,
a
there it
triple
is,
at 40
folks.
years old, man. Give me a little squirt.
give it a spray. Give it a spray, bro. Oh Lord. Well,
We'll just call time
All
in a
right, well-
second. I'll come over there to you. That's what we'll do.
Yeah,
and I'm sure as the season goes on, we'll give everybody updates as far as like how we're doing and who's injured, who's not injured. So,
Yeah.
and you probably could tell by our facial expressions and how we're talking on the microphone. You'll be able to tell real quick who's sore and who's not. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're going to give you guys updates as it goes on. So probably in the next episode or maybe the episode after that, let you know how the first couple games went. We play 2 games every single Monday night of July and August. And so if you're in the area, want to come check them out, please do. We're there, Barber Park in Cairo, and it should be a good time. And looking forward to a good season. Be cool if we went back to back. But a lot of good teams out there, a lot of good talent. And so, again, being in a small town, like Brian said, this is one of our highlights. This is one of the things that we look forward to. And I know Brian's church is looking forward to it. And I've actually had some church members of mine ask for a schedule. And
Mm.
and so trying to get that to them and things like that. So it'll be a lot of fun. We'll give you an update too on how we're doing. We'll give you an update on how Matt's base coaching is doing and see how many of us have hit triples and things like that. So, but again, this has been a fun episode talking about a lot of things. We'll give you updates as well about how St. James Bay went, whether it's on the next episode of the podcast or if it's on Facebook Live or any of our social media. Let you know if I shot 85 or better. Let you know if Matt shot or Brian shot 95 or better, and we'll keep you updated if Matt even kept a score. So we don't know.
That's
But
right.
thank you for watching. Thank you for being tuned in, Brian, Matt. It's been a pleasure as always, and we will see y'all in the next one.
See
See
you
ya.
All right,
guys.
peace out.